Hello, and welcome to the podcast of CMC Life Coach. Today's podcast is titled Mindfulness and Stress Part 3. Intentional attention. Mindfulness involves what's called intentional attention. You can think of this as curiosity. For example, when we're driving in ordinary attention, we often drive on autopilot. And driving is by a daily habit automatic, and we let our mind wander. In this state of attention, we're not so curious about everything we see during the drive, nor are we aware of every sensation that we feel or every sound that we hear on the drive. Now, a good example of shifting from ordinary attention to intentional attention would be when something is wrong with your car. As you're driving along, you suddenly notice a new sound. Something is wrong with the car, and you begin to really attend more consciously and intentionally to the new noise or the new feel of the engine. You really begin to notice carefully what has changed or is changing with your car as you listen on purpose. You become really curious, and your attention is focused on coming up with some kind of hypothesis or idea about what's going on with your car. So that's a really good example of a difference between ordinary attention and intentional attention. Listening to a new sound in your car. So in the practice of mindfulness, one can shift modes from an ordinary mode to an intentional attention in the same way you do as when your car begins to malfunction. Doing this will really help you to reduce and manage your stress. And as you do begin to practice mindfulness, paying that intentional attention, you will find there will be distractions. And this can be frustrating, but this is a key part of developing mindfulness, is just to accept that fact. So when you begin practicing mindfulness, you will find distractions in your environment, things that take you away from paying attention with mindfulness to what's going on. When you are distracted, you will need to redirect your attention back towards mindfulness. And this can be frustrating. So you just need to accept this and continue on. Because of this frustration, some will abandon the practice, but they do this to their own detriment, because there's really a great deal of benefit to being able to use mindfulness in your life. So to avoid this, you can simply add the distraction to your mindfulness attention. See if you can practice some degree of positive detachment during and after the distraction. Now, some good ways to train yourself for mindfulness and redirection is to use each of the senses. And there's some fun ways you can do that with taste, touch, hearing, sight, and smell. And you can use these as tools for increasing mindfulness and helping your mind from wandering. Using mindfulness in eating, for example, is a great way to train yourself as you employ your sense of taste in mindfulness practice. Mindful eating has other benefits, as it also increases satisfaction and decreases the use of food as a pseudo-remedy for stress relief. And there are many techniques to use in developing a practice of mindful eating. For example, you can use your subdominant hand. If you normally eat with your right hand, eat with your left on purpose, and this increases awareness of the movements of eating and the pace, requiring increased mindfulness of how to handle the food and utensil. This makes automatic, inattentive, or compulsive eating more difficult. Another example of using mindfulness with a sense of taste is to eat sweets slowly and deliberately, savoring every bite and attending to each individual sensation. When the attention drifts from mindful sensory experience, one simply redirects back to the mindfulness exercise, the taste of the sweets, for example, without worrying about how much redirection has been done. Other exercises in sensory mindfulness would include using your sense of touch through focused manipulation of different textures, listening to music, focusing on one's musical instrument, one musical instrument at a time, using the sense of smell with different aromas of oils, scents, and fragrances. Exercises that engage sight can include exploring color, patterns, shapes, and lines. So do some mindfulness practice. Use your senses and practice the art of mindfulness, trying to step back from your thoughts, and you will experience less stress in your life. This is the podcast of CMC Life Coach. Thanks for listening.